stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the Porter County Board of Commissioners, July 18th, 2017 board meeting. With that, we'll move right into the consent agenda, which the consent agenda includes approval of minutes for June 13th and July 11th. I'm going to do them all at once, yeah. Approval of payroll July 27th and July 10th of this year. Approval of claims for June 12th, June 22nd, June 29th, July 7th, and July 13th. Boy, that's a lot. Treasurer's monthly reports, May 31st, and Weights and Measures monthly report from May 16th through June 15th, 2017. And then we'd also included in the consent agenda is a Memorial Opera House contracts, and we're putting them all together and approving them at once. We have a Shirley Hines Land Trust. This is a venue rental agreement. It's a nonprofit. Memorial Opera House Foundation, venue rental agreement, nonprofit. Plays Scripts, Inc., It's a Wonderful Life, the musical. Christopher Peters, Artistic Service Agreement. Matt Valukas, Artistic Service Agreement. Christopher Peters, Artistic Service Agreement. Stephanie Sobecki, Artistic Service Agreement, and Kyle Lidke, Artistic Service Agreement. I'll open that to the floor for consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move into new business. Commissioner's business, Tony Bontrager from R.E. Sutton, coming in front of us for a health insurance update. Good morning, Tony. Morning. Floor is yours.
Just have a couple of reports this morning. Generally, we receive claims updates and everything around the 10th to 12th of the month, and they're coming a little bit late this month, so this is a little bit shorter than maybe what I'll have in the future. I was hoping to have a good quarterly update because your plan does renew April, so the end of June would have been a good quarter update. So in front of you, what I just passed out is a report that we do in our office, and we update this on a monthly basis. It breaks down a few different things, and I'll walk through each one of these line items and columns here. So you can see the month listed, and so this was from April of 16 through March of 17. On the left-hand side is the month, and then you can see your enrollment in a single and then versus family. Every year when you do your renewal with your stop-loss company, they set a maximum claims exposure, and then from that is expected claims. So what do we kind of expect claims to be in a given year, and we'll tie that back in here towards the end. So you can see your maximum and expected claims, and then your actual paid claims as they come out. So you can see your medical, your prescription drug, dental, and then adjustments that happen from the prior contract as they go back and do audits and stuff like that over past claims. So you can see if you drop down to the bottom in gross medical claims, so this is prior to any stop-loss deletions, so we do have stop-loss that covers us for any really large claims that may occur. You can see your gross claims for the last contract were $6,163,467. Your RX was $1.365 million, dental $325,000, $61,000 in adjustments, and then you can see that claims over specific of $498,000. So these are claims that were over that $150,000 stop loss that we have that get deleted out, okay? Because at the end of the day, we get reimbursed that money back, so that comes out of your experience. And so when you net all that out, you can see your claim costs were $7,418,061. One point of this is the way that your plan is structured. We have contracts that we share a percentage of savings from contracts that are negotiated with Inedico. And so their fees are part of that claim charge. We can break those out if you'd like to see that a little bit differently in the future to kind of show here's what was paid as a true medical claim, and here was that percentage of savings that we did. But under a normal structure, that's kind of all just combined together into one line item, because under most like PPO contracts, you just have a paid claim. There's not kind of a breakdown beyond that. So you can see that number, that $7,418,061, that includes the percentage of savings and those types of items as part of paid claims. That percentage of expected then, this looks at, when you go down the bottom, you can see 95%, okay? So you can see we jump all over the place month to month, but over the contract year, we came in about 95% of what was kind of expected as far as paid claims. So anytime you're under expected, that's a good sign. We always like to see it as low as possible, of course, because if you're budgeting off of expected or just looking at, we always want to beat that expectation, but at the same time, anything under expected is good. Then there's a column here, estimated fixed cost. So this is what we would have paid in, or what you would have paid in fees to BAS, your network, monthly management fees to Magellan, Inetico, those types of things, your broker fees, all that stuff in here, estimated fixed cost. The biggest part of that is going to be your stop loss, is what you pay to Sun Life for that specific stop loss. So on that far right-hand side, we just added it all together for total costs of $8,898,521. So that is, as a total package deal for the last contract, really what was spent net after all the fees and everything like that $8,898,521. When you drop down to the bottom, I just put this together. You can see the top line here is the total PEPM cost, or total per employee per month cost. Right below that is just for your claims. And you can see those fluctuate together. But then that dotted line across there, that is a trend line, and you can see that is virtually flat across there. Okay, so that's just looking at, as we're talking about health claims, pharmacy claims, all that type of, all those costs, and the inflation that we generally see, the trend that we generally see in the marketplace, carriers using everything is in the 9% range, as far as just what does it cost to get a procedure or a prescription filled today versus what it'll cost in a year from now. So just general inflation in the medical world runs about 9%. Yours, including your fixed costs and everything, have been fairly flat. So I think that in itself right there is a good success in just keeping those costs flat across the board. And that was going through May of 17. If you flip that page over, you can see this is just updated April and May of the current contract. I won't go down through the totals and everything because you're just at the beginning, really. Obviously, June claims should be coming in any time now. You can see we have had a little bit of one claimant go over the specific at this point. You can see when you look at that estimated fixed costs, it's running about $89,000. Prior contract was more in the $95,000, $96,000 range. So your fixed costs, which is hard dollars that you're going to pay, no matter if a member goes out to get something done or not, you're paying those costs. So that has actually come down, and we expected that just between some of the things that were done at renewal. Keep in mind, we removed one of the vendors that was in place on your stop loss. That removed about a $40,000 commission that was built in there. Some pharmacy fees, your brokerage fees and everything, those were lowered. So overall, you can see maybe about a 6% decrease in your fixed costs. Obviously not the biggest number on the page. Your fixed costs, your claims are the biggest number on the page. So any change we can see on claims is going to have a bigger dollar amount. But fixed costs, we always really watch those because those are, whether we do a good job or not, we're going to be paying those. We're going to be paying those out. So as far as a good job on the claims side, okay. So that's hard money, and we always want to be watching your fixed costs. So any questions on that report or anything?
That fixed cost, Tony, is that pretty much you think going to be in that general area there, the $89,000?
Yeah, that is directly tied to your enrollment. So if we increase your enrollment by 10 people, our fixed cost goes up because most of those are built on a per employee per month. So whenever you have a member enroll in the plan and an employee enroll in the plan, we've got to pay a fee to the stop loss company. We've got to pay a fee to BAS and the network, the PHCS network, and all those things. So that goes up. your enrollment's pretty flat, just across the board. It'll go up some months, down some months, but by and large, it's a pretty flat. So unless you're making big changes with employment or anything like that, I would suspect that it's going to hover
We're
in
running
there.
around 530 to 500 employees, right in there.
Yep.
On an average.
Yep.
Well, it's starting in the right direction.
Good.
We got a lot more work to do here, but
Yep.
we're starting to get data.
Yep, and just as a general update as well, there's not handouts on this. As we discussed earlier this spring, we did do notices out to vendors that had requirements on their notification of non-renewals. The letters were just pretty straightforward in that we're still very interested in working with you in the future. However, due to the notice requirements, we're just providing you notice now that we reserve the right to not renew at the end of the contract, okay? And I had conversations with them as well to let them know that there wasn't necessarily a foreshadowing at any point, but we just had to do on our end so we're not stuck at the end of the contract, because you did have some notice requirements that were 6 months prior to the end of the contract. That's tough to work with in this world, because generally you're making your renewal decisions 60 to 90 days out. So to give someone a notice 6 months in advance is a bit much. So,
Amen.
but those have been out, and they've been notified, so you do have the flexibility at the end of this contract.
So, yeah, we're sitting ourselves in a very good position there at the end of the year to go out to the marketplace
Mhm.
and really take a real hard look at all this.
Yes.
Good.
Yep, and your data is becoming much better. Again, the change to BAS as your TPA, I think, was a really good move. Their data reporting and everything is much cleaner and everything coming back. They seem to work with the structure better, too, as far as Inetico and everything. So from my side, I think everything's been running pretty well. We've had some hiccups and stuff like that, but those have always gotten handled. Members aren't going without their care and everything, so.
Yeah, I would also like to, just for the record, I'd also like to thank Rhonda in our office for picking up a lot of that load because of the vacuum that was created here, and I think she's put some things together very quickly, and it seems to be moving
Yeah.
quite well.
Yep.
So, on it goes.
Yep.
So,
The second page.
Thank you, Rhonda.
The second page in here, I'm not going to go through this line by line or anything like that. This is just kind of a piece in here that we use as a talking point on where we see healthcare going. You can see kind of on the left-hand side, moving more towards the ownership to employees. You already have a lot of this built into your plan, more so than others. Just the way that you're structured with your network, I mean, you're really putting some ownership into the employees to make sure that they're doing what's needed. You've got prior authorizations in your pharmacy side, your medical side, so people aren't just going and getting things done and hoping that it's covered. I mean, there are steps in your plan that require members to check on the front end. You'd be amazed at how many don't have things like that, and so it's finding out after the fact that things aren't covered and everything else. So, one thing as we go down through here, you've got good plan offerings. Your benefits cost share is pretty well balanced. You have a high deductible plan. Your network design, obviously, your network, so to speak, is that hybrid kind of reference-based pricing, but also direct contracts. That's more towards the right-hand side of this illustration as far as just steering people towards negotiated costs, lower pricing, everything like that. Down towards the bottom, you can see the clinical outreach wellness initiatives. This is something that we'll probably talk about, look at in the future ongoing, is just what are we doing on the front end to keep employees well and healthy. There are checks and balances within the plan to do this. As claims come through Inetico and they see someone's prior authorized to get something done, they're reaching out to members and trying to make sure that their course of action and plan goes along not only with the plan guidelines but best practices. One thing that we see as well are on-site clinics and wellness programs. Those are definitely up and running, and we see those helping in that clinical outreach and wellness initiatives idea, just as having kind of a not to necessarily replace your local doctors by any means or your primary care docs, but also just as another avenue for those that don't have primary care docs, that they've kind of got a quarterback in their side directing care, because fractured care is a big problem. If I go to a specialist and then another specialist and another, and nobody really knows what's going on, having someone as a primary care there directing that is a big benefit, not for just the employees, but also the plan and reducing costs. So, any questions, thoughts? Anything else you'd like to see on a quarterly update or anything like that? I'm happy to provide, just let me know.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep,
Thank you.
Looking forward to some more update numbers when we get some more data.
Yep.
So,
Of course.
month by month now. So, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for coming up. Next on the agenda, we have an appointment to make for the Porter County Airport Board. I think we had 2 applications. Were there 2? That's all I got.
That's all
Do you have them? Because I have them in my office. I thought they were on Dropbox. Yeah, I think they're on my office, Kathy. Hopefully you'll find them. My desk isn't too messed up.
We can jump to
Yeah,
the,
skip that.
let's go ahead and table the ordinance for the non-burning foundation.
And where's that at? That's on number 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to number 4 on the agenda. We'll come back. This is an ordinance creating, no, we're pulling number 4, right?
Yeah, we need a motion.
We need okay, so this is an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of earnings of the Porter County Government Non-Profitable Charitable Foundation. This is the second reading. We would want to table that.
Motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table. The ordinance creating, second reading of an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of earnings of the Porter County Government Non-Profitable Charitable Foundation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So the 2 applications, back to the Airport Board. The 2 applications are for John Vereb of Chesterton, Indiana. He's a retired U.S. Air Force Southwest Airlines pilot. And then we have Paul Shale, who is currently sitting on the board. I believe he's the chairman of the board, I believe. Paul is from Valparaiso as also, and like I said, he is a Chapter 13 trustee, like I said, has been on the board for quite some time. I'll open up the floor for any nominations.
I'd like to nominate Paul Shales. He's been doing a great job out there. The airport's very well run, although I'd like to mention what a great application the other one was, and I hope that person stays interested.
Yeah, me too.
I think, what Laura says is, I agree with, in that they're both very strong applications, but I think that if we're going to take somebody off a board, we should have reason to do that. Mr. Shell has not given us a reason to do that.
Yeah, and I also would say after last year's major runway project that seemed to go pretty flawlessly, and they even managed it so well that I think they even came under contract and were able to do some additional things out there too. So that's all good from our perspective. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor to reappoint Paul Shale for the Porter County Airport Authority, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move to number 3 now. What we're going to do here, we're sort of playing musical chairs here. Down under a future piece of business under Sheriff Dave Reynolds, we have Right Stuff Software, payroll time card scheduling software. So Edie and Jeff and was Don was involved. Who else was involved? Was Vicki involved? Yep. The A-team.
You're going to take the hot seat, Don.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I believe this is you folks coming back to something that we talked about a while ago, I believe, here?
A year ago.
And so this is the follow-up?
Yes.
Okay, just trying to set the table. So go ahead, you have the floor.
Well, as you may remember last year, when I came before you for approval for at least investigating a move towards new financial and payroll software, we also started looking into a time and attendance system. And we moved forward, as you know, with our new payroll and financial software, and we have now fully converted, and just about every county department is now live with our new system, and it's working very well, I'd have to say. Well, we didn't want to go forward with the next phase, the time and attendance system, until we had a state-of-the-art updated financial system in place. And so this is where we are now. We're coming back for a second round, looking at the next phase of enhancements to our payroll system, which would involve a time and attendance system that has various different options available, but I can let the rest of the committee talk about. Basically, what it would do is that employees would be punching in via their computer, and time and attendance would be automatically tracked, as well as requests for taking off vacation time, sick time, comp time accruals, comp time earnings. I can let the rest of you chime in and talk about,
I'll talk about
the various options. The committee that we had in place last year, which first analyzed the payroll and software system, that was my priority, first and foremost. It consisted of a little bit different makeup than what we have today, just because of people who have changed. But we looked at several companies for the time and attendance system, and it was narrowed down to the Right Stuff software. And we did receive some demos, and we relied heavily on the input of some departments, some of the larger departments, namely Sheriff and E911, because they have some time and attendance scheduling issues that maybe go way beyond what an administrative office like the auditor's office would have. So I know Edie has looked, and the Sheriff's Department has looked very closely at this particular software and the various options.
How will a department like Highway do this, since they don't all have computers at their desks, or desks even? Will they have a time clock, or what are your thoughts? Did you guys talk about that?
Well, we did talk about this just recently, where we kind of thought we would start out with the software and get going on it, because the biggest, well, one of the largest expenses is time clocks. Now, last committee, when we were here, they wanted time clocks and thumbprints, because they were worried about the way people were going to log in.
I think that was the council.
I don't remember who it was, to tell you the truth. But we kind of got with Don and brought this all up again, because we knew the LAO system was going, and I knew it was going to be an issue for us, the larger departments, 911 and the Sheriff's Department, because we have people out on the road, and kind of Highway. I did touch base with Highway. They are using their own software right now. But this company said they can do what they're doing now, because they also keep track of their mileage and stuff. This company said they can do that for them, too. And they are paying a monthly fee on theirs also. So hopefully this will work for them, and they could stop that.
But, I mean, ultimately, my understanding is the Bright Stuff has the flexibility that if the pricing that we're going to be looking at here in a minute would include employees being able to log in on a computer,
right,
or their computer, or a computer, and then also if we needed time clocks, and we very well may need time clocks for specific departments because of computer issues, but we would, roughly the time clock and hardware and all of that is roughly about $2,000 per time clock, but
right.
We would also potentially have the option, maybe at the highway garages, to put computers in, and they could log in on the computer when they get there. They may not have their own computer, but we can do it that way. There's some options, I believe, available that's flexible enough within the software that we are going to have to maybe go department by department to figure out the answer, but there's enough options that we should be able to get there fairly easy.
Part of this software also is called scheduling, so it can run off the schedule. So if you have a Monday through Friday and they work, it's already set. But you would go in and take them off if they took a day off. So they wouldn't have to be changing. Ours, of course, we schedule for a whole year in advance for patrol and jail, because we have to, because we have minimum staffing, and we have so many people. Of course, with the jail coming and going, it's harder on them, but they schedule for a whole year. They have, they just have to. So they can do that, and then the schedule's set, and it runs off of that, but unless they take time off or something happens, anything. And then we would do status changes like we do now, for whatever changes in pay or, promotions or everything, and it would just be automatic, so.
A lot easier.
Yeah, and it would upload to the LAO, because they have done with the LAO, they work with quite a few agencies. I had the email, but got a call before I left, and quite a few counties that work with LAO. There was at least 10 of them that I saw on his email. And then they have other counties that they do where they don't use LAO, but they have worked with LAO very well, and LAO actually recommended them. I think LAO only has 2 companies, right? Didn't they say they only work with 2 companies? So this system can do kind of what I was doing before, uploading everything to the AS400, which I've lost now, plus, like you all know, I have aging time cards that are that are now coming to the end of their cycle. They're not going to be able to be used anymore. So 170 people going in and trying to type in 170 people at one time I'd have to come back and ask for a full-time payroll person to do it like that. So this will eliminate a lot.
Now, Don, we just ran fiber to the 2 garages, right? Or we're in the middle of running.
As far as the highway garage?
Yeah.
NITCO's getting close to running fiber to the North County garage.
Yeah, and then are we doing something in Hebron too?
Well, all we have right now is a DSL link.
Oh, okay. Okay, but would that link work for this? Okay, it's secured enough?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and plus the timing would allow, if the commissioners were to approve this today contingent upon council doing some either additionals or transfers, we're looking at what, November?
October.
October? So we would have some time to be able to kind of, as they're doing all the, kind of the back of the house stuff, figuring it out, we could go figure out what departments, if we needed some time clocks or some computers or whatever it was, give us a chance to get our policies together on.
How does county government benefit from this investment, other than, making somebody's job easier in one of these buildings? What's our benefit? Because this is a pretty big investment here.
Yes. Well, let me think here. From the standpoint of the employees, different departments handle their timekeeping differently. Some have time clocks, like our office has time clocks. And every employee punches in when they start and punches out when they leave. And then we are able to match the time cards with what they put down on their employee service record, so we can verify the accuracy of what the employee says that they worked with the actual time card. I know that some departments don't use time cards. They just, but I'm not going to speak for every department. They report to us what their time is per employee. I think in some departments, like the Sheriff's Department and E911, it would help them in terms of improving their current system. As Edie just explained, her current software that she uses has been put together over the years. It's problematic. It's not an easy upload to us. We have to tinker it quite a bit. For her to manually enter all those employee hours and all those employee leave times and vacation times would be, I don't know if you can manually.
It would take days. It would take days to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the Sheriff's Department really is a special case. I mean, we have to have some kind of indication here that hours may be cheated from us, or time being cheated from us. And this is one of the reasons that, we're implementing this program. That instead of taking a half an hour lunch, they're taking a, 45-minute lunch, that sort of thing.
I don't think people are cheating us. But it's always good to be accountable. It's always good to have accountability. I mean, it's crazy not to.
I agree, Laura. I'm just assuming that the department heads are being accountable to their employees. Again, I mean, this is a lot of money, and unless we're going to clearly benefit from this from a financial standpoint, instead, like I said, instead of making somebody's job easier at the end of the day. I don't know if we should be doing it.
Was there a dollar figure given on the thumb scans? Are they, is that an additional add-on, and I'm sure, is it cheap, is it expensive, what is it?
It comes with a time clock. Those are $2,000 a piece.
A piece?
Yes.
Oh,
And you
boy.
can slide your through, I think there was some with thumbprints, I'm not sure if this one actually was. And this, the one that we looked at a year ago, that was it. If it broke, you replaced it. They're building one now that has components inside that can be changed out. So instead of, okay, it's died, because, people can get rough on them, hurrying, and they'll be able to fix things on this one. Now, whether it has a thumb reader, I'll have to ask again. The other one did. Yeah, but this, and I'm sure they're building it the same way. They're actually, you can log in on a computer, and they're actually working on an app right now where you could log in from your phone if you had to.
What's the cost, the annual maintenance cost associated to those?
$3,000 a month.
36. Well, I think this becomes a real important decision for us here, because we're in the middle of trying to rewrite our employee manuals. And going through the employee manuals, which, by the way, has been a very daunting task, because you're taking a 20-year-old manual that has been added to and revised and added to, and, we're basically going to blow it all up and sort of redo it all.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things in there that seems to be a little bit loose is time and attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we are, as a board, we're trying to move towards more consistency in our policies, not only, but also to, you can have policies all day long, but unless the different departments and the department heads or the elected officials, whoever are running those departments, they have to be able to want to follow those procedures and follow those, and so we're in the throes of doing all that right now, and I think that this is sort of a piece of the puzzle that we were trying to figure out how, where right now I think there's a lot of coming and going. I think this would, probably wouldn't minimize, it would probably minimize some of that, I would say. But I think what it gets down to is what Laura says. We're just trying to, it gets back to what we've been doing here for the last couple of years, is just trying to create accountability in what we're doing here for all the employees and for all of us to be able to manage. So I think this is timely. I think it comes at a good time. I think, like everything else up here, we've got to find out where we're going to get the money from to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think, that's where I'm at right now.
In my mind, this is step one. If we do the countywide single time in, get it going, then it allows, this is what, when we got all the way back to Vicki wanting to change the financial software that everybody knew needed to be done, we wanted to make sure we had a payroll, compatible, so that from the very beginning, we've said we're looking for payroll, we want to integrate, we want to do these things. I think at this point, this price, it's $40,000 for countywide, 36 for the installation and training. It's $36,000 a year in maintenance. It integrates right into LAO, which is why we set that up a year and a half ago so we could be here today. But it then allows us to kind of get off the, off of square one to then be able to go back. There's no doubt there's going to be departments, policies, things that are going to have to be written to tighten it up, to make it exact. So we got to get this done, kind of like we had to get to LAO so that we could get to the right stuff, so that then we can go talk about how do we do the North County garage for highway, which may be different than E911, but we have to get all these steps filled in along the way. And ultimately, it's accountability to our department heads. Now we can go and they can have accountability to this board, and then ultimately, we no longer have any questions. Anybody wants to know somebody's time cards, and they've got a way to, we've got the proper channels to look at those things. It just takes care of the questions that sometimes are maybe not front and center, but are more on the, the whispers and things like that. But this just takes care of all of that. And $40,000 for 750 users one time.
Yeah.
It's not small, but it's not, what was Lau's price tag that the auditor's office
Right.
paid for?
Yes.
250,000?
One time, just under 212,000,
Yeah.
one time, and that included all the training and the, you were close, yes.
Yeah, I think, again, Vicki and I had this conversation a year and a half ago. I think as we continue to push up here as a board to try and up our game on the technology world, because I think everybody knows over the last several months that there's been a lot of discussion on this on a national level, and how most governments are pretty much behind in their IT infrastructure. Porter County, probably in the same boat, but I think we're treading water and we're dealing with things as best we can. But if we're going to start investing more in technology, the one thing I've learned in the private side is that when you invest in technology, there should be some savings and efficiency somewhere. And I think that's what I would challenge everybody as we start this march towards better technology. As we're looking at these things, how can we find ways to, perfect example is, how do we pay for this software? How do we find efficiencies to where we can pay for this software where it's not additional? And that's, I think, sort of how our board is tackling things here, is from a cost-neutral standpoint. And not to say that you guys haven't approached this that way. I'm just trying to let some of the folks here in the room know what our psyche is and what we're looking at as we're going forward here. Because I don't think I'm out over my skis saying that technology creates efficiencies. I think that's a pretty...
We talked about one with
yeah.
your scheduling.
Yep, and that's what we're trying to get to here, and I think the LAO and what we're doing is, and so this piece, which we've asked you to look at and come back to us, this is just continuing that, and that's where we're trying to go, and so I think probably what we probably need to do is task this committee to start firming up some of the details, like departments that would have a time clock. What other things were you thinking, Scott? Or
Well, I think we do need a committee to start, assuming we get a favorable vote today and we figure out where we want to try to pay for it from, then obviously we have to start, at that point, they're going to start getting the software installed, and then we need to start, I think the committee needs to be available to help with, what are we going to do with the highway garage? What are we going to do with E911? What are we going to do with the different departments that may or may not have computers, and then come back, and then the commissioners are going to have to make some policy decisions on, are we going to let people log in off their phones? And if so, who, and what's the rules? What's the rules for logging into your computer? And that's part of our handbook, and we're just going to have to go back and forth until we've got it squared away. As far as paying for it, my humble suggestion would be, I think it needs to go in Don's budget. I think, along with the commissioner's help and support, I would suggest that for the $40,000 and for the remaining this year, $3,000 a month maintenance, I think ITs would be the place for this to be housed and for the maintenance contract to be housed, but obviously it's not currently in your budget, so I haven't lost sight of that. But I think at this point we need to probably, my recommendation would be to approve option 2 with Don, with IT being directed to do an additional at the council with the commissioner's support for both the $40,000 initial outlay and also the $3,000 a month in maintenance for the rest of this year, and then as we finish your budget, we would build this $36,000 maintenance issue into yours, knowing it's going to be an additional, knowing that the money's not currently there for it. The only other option we would have at this point would be to do an additional out of seated to kind of get us to the same place, but ultimately, I think in the IT budget for Don for next year, the $36,000 maintenance contract would be in there, again, as an additional. It's kind of the commissioner's choice on which way they want to go in that direction. Vicki would probably be able to give us a better idea whether the general fund could withstand a $50,000, $60,000 additional, or if not, and if not, we'd have to go in a different direction, but if so, I think that would probably be the original place to start.
But this number isn't
final yet because we don't have
Time clock.
the number of time clocks
Right.
put
But I-
together, and that could be, another 30 grand.
Well, I
20?
think we're going to probably, they're $2,000 apiece, but even if we had to do one at each highway garage, we're at 6, one at 911, I mean, I think we potentially, 15 grand a time clock somewhere down the road, but I think between now and October, when it's actually being implemented, we can figure out which departments need it, because we may just, instead of doing a $2,000 time clock in North County Highway Garage, we may do a virtual computer at a fraction of the cost and have them log in that way. So 911, they've got computers a little bit more readily available. Maybe our facilities department, we may need to put a virtual computer up there they can get in and out of, up in Mr. Steckley's administrative area there. So I think there's some things we can work through that maybe wouldn't cost the time clock. Now, some departments, maybe they need them, but I don't think we're going to need, 20 time clocks at this point.
Right.
I'm not saying we're not going to need some, but maybe not that many.
Who could we task to survey that? Would that be Don? Would that be Vicki? Because is it a payroll function or is it an IT function? I mean, that's
Well,
really,
I think it's going to be a little of both, because at some point, we're just going to have to decide whether or not, again, it's better off and works with our policies that we have in place that are not done yet, on whether or not we want virtuals out there as far as a computer, if we want a time clock. But I think we can kind of backfill that in and let the software start to be implemented at this point.
If I may chime in, last year when we initially looked at this, the committee came up with a total of 27 time clocks. We have since looked at it and pared that down quite a bit to the point of no time clocks, and let's just go through either the computer login and or the virtual. But if time clocks make sense in some areas, we could look at. But we don't think the original estimate, that was just a ballpark beginning estimate of what departments might need, and then we started looking at, again, remember, my focus was on getting the main hardware in place, not the time clocks as much, but.
So what do we need to do here, Scott? If we're going to do something, do we do something and then make it contingent upon council approval?
Yep, I would, my recommendation would be approve option 2, contingent upon council funding, and then direct Don either to go the route of getting additionals into IT out of the general fund. Vicki hasn't chimed in on that yet, or whether we're going to have us go in. We're going either way to help Don, but whether or not it's coming out of general fund as an additional or seated as an additional. Vicki, can the additional fund at this point handle
The general fund?
Excuse me.
Yes.
General fund.
Yes. As long as we keep the other additionals down to a minimum,
So it's a
and
pop-
so
so
far
it-
you and the council has.
It could be a request, it's a reasonable request for the
It is,
council to consider.
yes.
Okay. I would make it contingent upon them. It's obviously not happening next week, it'd be August, but my understanding is the vendor is, if we went that far to make it contingent upon the council, they would be willing to get started on the.
Well, they're willing, to hold the position in October.
Right.
Otherwise, it won't be till February of next year.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what we're up against.
yeah.
Well, in light of all that, and the fact that I doubt there are too many successful corporations with 500 or more employees out there that aren't using something like this, I just can't imagine not having it. I'll make the motion with the considerations that Scott just mentioned.
Second. We have a motion and a second for approval, contingent upon council approval. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And thank you for
Step
doing
one,
this.
yeah, thanks.
I think it's going to be more fair across the board. People don't have to,
And,
everyone
Tell
held
them
to the
to do it
same
as an
standard.
additional out of the general.
Vicki, once
Set it up that way.
all this is, once we get all this software and the hardware put in place where we're actually using the program, it would be nice or helpful to the Board of Commissioners if, a 6-month period or at the end of a full year utilizing the program, of outlining the benefits to us and where we may be saving money.
Absolutely.
So I think that everybody up here understands going into this new budget that we're going to have to, we're going to have to look at ways to save money.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a lot of good technology out there that I think all of us would love to be able to purchase and plug into here, but we should only be looking at that stuff now that's going to make us more efficient.
If I could just add on that too, what we have now, the current system we have, is efficient, but it's failing. So if we were to go back to a paper system, we don't have an employee for that.
Yeah.
You would have to ask for an additional employee just to handle that task of, now just back to paper. Right now, she doesn't have to deal with, just a paper and all that. She'd have to modify kind of what our numbers now, so it fits in the low system, but that's not working.
And that's the kind of information that the county council should have when we approach them with this.
I can already talk to you about some of the efficiencies we've seen with our new system, but that might be for another time.
Good.
I do want to bring up one other issue related to the time and attendance. I hope we are all aware this may involve, it will probably very likely involve, a change in our payroll structure in terms of paying employees, bringing the pay date in sync with our leave dates. Right now, they're not in sync. And in order to make the time and attendance work the most efficiently, we should bring those two schedules in sync with one another. And I know this sounds confusing, and it is, but right now, leave time is reported by most departments 1 week in arrears, which is like it's typical in the real world, but we pay current. So we're actually paying for a week that we're not reporting the leave time, then we get caught up with the leave time the next pay. It has caused a lot of confusion, and I do not think in terms of transparency and accountability that's the proper way to do things. With a movement towards time and attendance, we've been told that we really need to have those two schedules in sync with one another. And this may necessitate moving back the date of our paycheck 1 day per payroll. We think that moving it back 1 day per payroll is a lot easier on the employees than just saying, guess what, you're going to go for a whole week without pay, so that we can bring the two schedules in line with each other.
Yeah,
This is how other counties have done it.
We can't tell them to go a whole week.
Why don't
No,
you,
we cannot do that.
yeah, can't do that.
And we thought about like a mini payroll, but that might cause other
Yeah.
issues.
Why don't you
So-
why don't you give us a proposal for our next commissioners meeting to approve these pays are going to be moved these dates, and then that way we can have IT throw it out to the employees so they know it's coming.
And then you have your
Yes.
runway to get her done.
And another issue with that is we're one of the departments that are 2 full weeks behind, because
Yes.
there is no way, because to get payroll to her, you have to guess if they're going to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in order to get the payroll when they need it. And if for them to guess, and then me to have to go back and figure out what didn't happen because we're 24/7, there's just no way that I could get to that point with
We're on
what I'm
board.
doing now. And it was like, but being live and them going in, our supervisors doing everything live, they can keep up.
Yep.
Now, they're 2 weeks behind because they can't get me their time cards.
No, well, I think up here, we're all, real time is the way to go.
Yeah.
And that's how the world runs,
Mhm.
and that's how we need to run.
Yeah.
So I think it's the right direction. It's just a lot of work, and I can tell you from the employee manual thing, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
So,
It is.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, we look forward to the next step.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
all good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are we going to finish with us, or do we want?
No, you gotta go back, you gotta get back in line, sorry.
Good try.
We got a lot,
We
we're
got
jumping all over
certified
the
now,
place
Bill,
today
we
here.
gotta find.
Thank you again, though, thank
Thank
you. Next on the agenda is appointment to the sick bank committee. Did we have someone that we wanted to appoint?
The sick bank committee recommended Don Wilson.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to appoint Don Wilson to the sick bank committee.
Does Don Wellsome agree with that?
Condolences. He's not yelling and screaming.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Don Welson to the sick bank committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You're on board, Don. Thank you. Thank you for serving.
Okay, we tabled number 4. Number 5, we're going in, I don't have my cheat sheet.
I can read it.
Okay, we have, this is an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of Porter County, Indiana, establishing and adopting a conflict of interest policy. This is the first reading.
Yeah, and basically, the issue behind this is the federal government has put some new conflict of interest. Basically, we're talking about consultants, design engineers, et cetera, that the state of Indiana then had to pick up those same, and now this is kind of finally getting all the way down to us, to keep us in compliance. Basically, the conflict of interest policy would be as follows: no officers or employees of the county shall either solicit nor accept gratuities, favors, or anything of monetary value from consultants, potential consultants, or parties to sub-agreements, unless in accordance with this conflict of interest policy, the aforementioned prohibition does not include gratuities, favors, or anything of monetary value under $50. Any financial interest under $50 shall be considered not substantial in accordance with the Code of Federal Regulations. This policy conforms to the standards set forth in the Code of Federal Regulations and by the Indiana Department of Transportation. A consultant is defined as an individual or firm providing engineering or design-related services as a party to a contract with a receipt or sub-receipt of federal assistance. That's why it's most pressing to our highway department, a little bit to our stormwater department. But basically, when this came out maybe a year ago, we kind of nobody knew what the regulation was, so we threw a zero on it, kind of with the guidance. They've come back, and now this number is more in line with what people are doing. So we need to open it up for a public hearing on the first reading, but basically this would be for the county to remain in compliance with the federal matching dollars that we're getting that run through the state INDOT.
So with that said, we are going to pause our meeting here at the Board of Commissioners. We're going to open it up to a public meeting. This is for an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners establishing and adopting a conflict of interest policy, first reading. We're going to have our first call out for anybody who is in opposition of this ordinance. Please step forward, state your cause. It's a second request for anybody coming up forward in favor of the conflict of interest policy. Third and final, or in favor of adopting a conflict of interest policy. Okay, all those in favor of not adopting this conflict of interest policy, this is your first time to come forward. Second time to come forward on adopting a conflict of interest policy in opposition. Third and final call for an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners of Porter County establishing and adopting a conflict of interest policy, first reading. I'm going to close the public hearing, and now I'm going to open it up to the floor to the board.
Jeff, this is reflective of, or Scott, rather, this is reflective of what the federal government is recommending, or...
Correct. And not only from the federal government, I think it's just good business.
I agree.
So,
Motion to approve.
and it's an ordinance now, so it's official. We have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries. Second reading, next meeting. Next on the agenda is an ordinance, I got another one to do, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of proceeds from the Adult Community Corrections Grant for the Porter County Adult Probation Department, first reading. Scott, can you give us a little bit of a, is this the one?
We do this for a lot of departments.
Yeah.
And they get a grant.
Oh, this is just for the grant? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to close the Commissioners' meeting. We're going to open up a public meeting. All those in favor of anybody in favor wanting to come forward to speak for this ordinance, please come forward. Second call, anybody wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Second request? third and final request. Anybody that wants to come forward, speak in favor of this ordinance? Now we're going to move to in opposition. Anybody, first call, anybody wanting to come forward to speak in opposition of this ordinance? Second call, anybody wishing to come up and speak in opposition of this ordinance? Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak against this ordinance for creating a non-reverting fund for receipts of proceeds from the Adult Community Corrections Grant for the Porter County Adult Probation Department? We're going to close the public meeting, open up the floor back to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to create an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for the receipt of proceeds from the Adult Community Corrections Grant for the Porter County Adult Probation Department. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second reading will be next meeting, which I believe is August 15th.
Yep.
Yep. Seventh, on the agenda, we have Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting. Please come forward. I know you have a presentation for us, and the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning, buddy.
My name is Marcella Kensnack. I work for the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting. Permission to
Sure.
give you a handout here.
Hi, Tom.
There you go. As a Porter County resident, I'm thrilled to be here to introduce to you today a responsible bidder ordinance. I'd like to introduce you to Josh Wager. He's our policy director, and he's actually going to make the presentation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and staff. It's a pleasure to be here. As Marcy said, my name is Josh Wager. I'm Policy Director for the Indiana, Illinois, Iowa Foundation for Fair Contracting, and IIFSC is even easier to say because that's a mouthful. I do appreciate your time, and we won't take up very much of it, but we have a brief presentation to just share with you the concept and the ideas behind responsible bidding. And this is a concept that is trending very strongly throughout the state of Indiana today. A lot of local governments and public bodies are embracing and utilizing the principles of responsible bidding concepts to provide greater value to their taxpayers in the public works construction arena. So and you can either listen to me or you'll see my information on your screen, whatever works best for you. But just briefly, a little bit about our organization. We are funded 100% by contractors and also affiliated with the Operating Engineers Union Local 150. And we serve 14 counties in Indiana, 25 in Illinois, and 7 in Iowa. And our mission is threefold, and that is to increase market share for our contractors, increase hours for our workers, and to help drive value for taxpayers. And we do that through a comprehensive 5-point program, as you can see, procurement oversight, market share, research and analysis, job site monitoring, legal advocacy, and finally, public policy educational initiatives. So I guess that's what you'd say we're doing here today, is trying to offer a little public policy education. And our foundation has been in business now 20 years, and we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay, and we're here to help you in any way that we can improve and strengthen the value of public works construction to your taxpayers and local government. So the question is, what is responsible bidding? Well, as we all know, there are various laws that require you to award construction contracts to the lowest responsible bidder, and that's the language that's used. And the word responsible is often not very well defined. And so a responsible bidder ordinance is an opportunity for you to define that and utilize some of the local control that you are afforded, and that, of course, is very important to Hoosiers and to Indiana, that notion of local control. And that's a prime example of how you can do that by putting forth some standards and expectations for your bidders, for your public works construction projects. So what does responsible mean? Well, the lowest bidder is sometimes not the best bidder. And this is a challenge that we face in public works construction all the time. And it could be dangerous if you were required or forced to automatically give a contract to the bidder that puts in the lowest bid. So, this is the notion that, we can look at other things. There should be some objective standards in place that these bidders should have to meet in order to build this critical public infrastructure that your county is working on. And so, to the extent that you might be considering a large capital investment program in the near future, this is the kind of thing that is, I would say, absolutely necessary just for an added layer of protection. And so I just want to walk through the main parts here. I've already hit on these items. We talked about the idea of putting standards in place for contractors. Now, I'm talking about high road contractors there in that last bullet, and I want to make this point. In the construction industry, there are high road contractors and there are low road contractors, and most everybody realizes there's a reputation in the construction industry. Everybody knows there's bad apples, and I have seen in my many years of experience in this business, taxpayers and local governments end up with bad construction results on bridges, roads, buildings, just that critical public infrastructure. And so the idea of having some objective criteria for contractors to meet is a very, very good idea when taxpayer dollars are at stake. So let's just move on, and I'll walk you through some of the high points. Now, important point is that no two RBOs have to be the same. You don't have to adopt some rigid template RBO, and every community can tailor their own to their own particular priorities, needs, concerns. But we have, at the foundation, worked on I will say a model RBO, and back in the summer of 2015, Marcy, I think it was, we got all of the key players in the construction industry in Northwest Indiana together, and we sat down, we spent a good part of the summer, and we hammered out a compromise model RBO that all of the high road players in the industry are in agreement with. And we all agree that this model is in the best interest of workers, contractors, and taxpayers in Northwest Indiana. So that's what I'll walk you through. Now, some of this is really simple stuff. I mean, you're asking a bidder to provide a copy of proof that they are licensed to do business in Indiana, a list of all of its former business names, which that's important in construction because you see that a lot of times a company will have problems, and with regulatory type problems, they will disappear, come up through the ashes with a different name on the side of the truck door, but it's the same. So these are things that are good to know and that you want to know if you're awarding contracts. Just simply a disclosure of any violations of laws or any taxes owed or environmental and labor violations. Why not know that before you're about to award a contract? And also a statement of staffing capabilities, including labor sources. That's very important. Moving on, we want to see in our model RBO participation by that contractor in apprenticeship and training programs approved by the United States Department of Labor for all trades that the contractor would perform on the project. Apprenticeship training is the gold standard for construction, especially for commercial and industrial construction, and it's the bachelor's degree, you might say, of world-class, skilled, trained craftsmanship in construction. Moving on, we want to see evidence of an employee drug testing plan, which is already required by state law. Also, a description or maybe resume-type information of the project managers and superintendents who would be assigned to the project. So, good idea. Why wouldn't you want to have that information? Moving on to the next point is just simply proof of any professional or trade licenses that are required by law. And if any of those licenses had been suspended or revoked in the past, that would be good information to have as you're evaluating bidders. To the next slide, of course, we have to have surety coverage. High road contractors who do public work have to have surety coverage with licensed sureties. We would also like to see disclosure of any tax liens or delinquencies in the last 5 years. Good information to have. And also a statement or an attestation that individuals who will be working on this project will be properly classified, be that as an employee or an independent contractor, but we just want that statement on the record that as a contractor, I'm committed to proper classification, because worker classification is one of those big problems in our industry. And then finally, a list of projects of similar size and scope that scope of work that the bidder has performed in the state of Indiana in the last 3 years. Again, that's resume type information for the contractor that you might want to know and evaluate. So, as a public body, you have the right to additional information. If you want to request that from bidders, you would have the right to do that. The RBO provision would make that clear. And then incomplete submissions, that's not allowed. These documents, these questions to be answered would need to the documents would need to be provided and the questions would need to be answered before before the public bid opening. And if not, then that could result in the rejection of the bid. So then, when all the bids are received and all the bid submission documents are received, then the public body, of course, in its sole discretion, has the right to say whether a contractor and a bid is both responsive and responsible. Just make note that the model RBO that we promote also applies to subcontractors. And so it's very important that they be accountable as well and that the rules apply to subs, because in the construction world, a lot of times the problems are pressed down to the subcontracting level. And so no sense in having a responsible bidding policy if it's not going to apply to both prime contractors and subs. And the subs would need to provide the same documents that the prime would provide to the public body. Well, the subs would apply those provide those documents to their prime contractor, and then you could request those. Upon request, you could receive those, and according to our model RBO. So, let's to the next. Okay, now pre-qualification. This is optional. A lot of local governments have built this into their RBO. This says that the contractor submits a bid, doesn't win the bid, but all their information is accepted and it's deemed accurate, then they can be pre-qualified for a period of up to a year. So if they were to come back a couple of months later and bid again, they would have to provide the same materials and documents. You'd have those on file already for up to a year. This is optional. It's saves businesses from having to round up all the materials and provide them again if they're expecting to bid on something more than once in a calendar year. Again, that's optional. If they had any material changes to their status, they would need to submit that information to you all. Okay, certified payroll. This also is, this is about transparency. This is about sunshine. And again, worker misclassification is a problem in our industry. Treating people who should be treated as employees, treating them as independent contractors, this is a problem. Just exploitation of workers is a problem in our industry at times, in the low road avenue of our industry. And so just by the contractors just simply having to submit that basic certified payroll document to the public body every so often, that sunshine often has a way of ensuring that everything's above board and workers are, and also it helps to ensure that workers are proper and have legal right and status to work. And it's just, again, one of those transparency items that's a good idea. Moving on, just a few other remaining provisions of the RBO. Everything that's submitted by bidders would be public record, would be subject to the public record law. Of course, there would be some penalties for willfully false information submitted. Our model calls for that contractor who would do that sort of thing to lose bidding rights for a period of time. I think our model's 3 years. conflicting ordinances just simply says that if any other ordinances on the book were to blatantly conflict with the responsible bidding ordinance, that the RBO would prevail. And then finally, just severability, and the idea that if one part of the RBO would be somehow, some way invalidated, the remaining provisions would remain fully in effect. I would say that, that's not likely to happen. There are, as far as I know, about 36 different local governments around the state of Indiana at this time that have RBOs on the books. No problems with any of those at this time. So, moving on, now this is a question we get a lot. Do responsible bidding ordinances increase costs? Well, the answer, I believe, is no. And we have there's been rigorous scholarly research done in the state of Ohio that found no discernible statistical impact on construction costs. And my organization is in the midst of continuing to do research in Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa on this. But we've not seen any evidence that there's any increase in cost due to responsible bidding policy being on the books. So it's important to note that. But I would note that cost overruns, as my last bullet point says, are very common when you hire bad contractors. And these things are well publicized, they often get media coverage, and they can be devastating to a project budget. So I would say that an RBO doesn't cost you money, it saves you money in the long run, because you're having that protection plan in place, that additional, that added step of protection. There's a note about the 36 public bodies around the state that have currently adopted RBOs. Again, this number is growing every week. Sometimes it's hard for us to keep track of, but we're doing our best. It's a policy that's trending strongly throughout the state of Indiana. And so everything from small towns and big cities, northern, southern, east and west, townships, cities, counties, the RBO movement is catching on throughout the state of Indiana. And so we just want to provide that information to you all to the extent that you're interested in having an additional protection for the results of your public works construction investments. Then what we can offer you is our model responsible bidding ordinance. We can provide any assistance that you might need with implementing that. We've worked with other public bodies who maybe don't have the resources that Porter County has, smaller. We've provided checklists for the public body to use to evaluate the bidders. We've provided template affidavit documents that contractors can fill out and submit as part of their bid to just make it as efficient as possible for them. So we stand ready to provide any of that assistance that you might be interested in. And just appreciate your time and hope you found the presentation informative, and be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have about it. So.
Any questions from the board?
Well, over the, serving up here for many years, I mean, I have seen where, unfortunately, that the lowest bidder panned out to be not the smartest choice. And I also like the idea of, you said you was at 36 different government bodies have it. I mean, that's not a whole lot considering how many local governments there are in this state. I mean, there's 92 counties alone.
Right.
And it's kind of a wonderment to me that why there's not more. But, a politician's politician likes hiring his brother-in-law's contracting, company to do work. And they don't like these kind of set regulations to keep that sort of thing from happening. And I applaud it. I applaud this board here, the Board of Commissioners, this particular board, for opening the door and listening to it and quite possibly moving it forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's good points, and I applaud the commission as well. I mean, to me, there's no downside to protecting taxpayer dollars. And I agree with you, there should be a lot more than 36, and I bet you if I talk to you in 2 weeks, that it'll be a higher number, because this is trending really strongly. We've got, here in the area, we've got Lake County, we've got St. Joseph County, we've got LaPorte County, we've got Stark County governments that all have adopted RBOs. It's just really been in the last 2 years that we've seen this movement really take hold, and it's going faster than we can keep track of it. We just try to help provide information if we can, and help you make the decision to add that protection. So.
Well, I think we'll be reaching out, because I know we have some things to talk about with regards to the ordinance and customizing it more towards our county's needs. So I think there's going to be some more discussions here in the very near future. So thank you for coming in and giving us the presentation.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
We just had a very successful shelter.
Yeah,
And I noticed a lot of the same things
Yeah.
you talking about that we did, but it would be nice to have it on the books.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the reason we had that there was we wrote it into the special
Yes.
program
Yeah.
that we did when we did the animal shelter. So in that situation, we had the opportunity to put that in, but not every time you do an RFP or everything, do you get that. I mean, it was a very lengthy process, too.
Yeah.
So it cost us some time on the animal shelter, so good point. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Next on the list. There it is. We're going to have DLZ Larson Danielson payment application number 10 in the amount of $51,143.39 for the animal shelter and administrative issues. This is draw number 10, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Ashley Steyer with DLZ. We have reviewed payment application number 10, and we are recommending that you move forward to pay it.
Question, and you might not be able to answer this, and that's okay, because I know Stephen couldn't make it. Did we get the little handicap ramp thing all figured out up at the front there?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if you know, but I thought I'd ask.
I know the punch list has been issued, so,
Yes.
and I know that was
And I
one
know
of the
there's some
issues
back and
on there.
forth
Yeah.
on grades, and I
Mhm.
saw ruler pictures and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if we ever got that little tweak figured out. It's real small, but
Mhm.
you guys caught it.
Yeah.
So, any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for pay app number 10 in the amount of $51,143.39 for the animal shelter. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting.
Tell Stephen hello. Request for an additional appropriation of Fund 4902, hospital interest, in the amount of $16,250 to account 3950 contractual services to pay the invoice for Capital Cities for the first quarter, January 1st through March 31st. And for those in the audience, Capital City is our, what's the word?
Our independent financial consultant for the foundation.
Yes, he's our they're our foundation consultant.
What's the acronym for that?
They're the money
Capital
guys. Capital Cities, yeah. So this is their fund. This is part of their, when they won the bid to do the foundation, this is part of their payment.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve additional appropriations for Fund 4902 hospital interest of $16,250 to account 3950 contractual services to pay for the invoice for Capital Cities. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next on the agenda is approval of appraisal contracts. Scott, why don't you, for 157 Franklin.
Yeah, to follow up from the capital improvement plan presentation at the council, the council did unanimously approve the resolution to allow the commissioners to move forward on getting the appraisals for 157 Franklin to see if what direction that could head in. We have proposal from Vail Appraisal Group, and that is on your board docs to see that contract. And then also on your desk is a David, W-A-S-Z-A-K Appraisals, Inc. After many conversations with a couple of individuals that didn't have the time to get it done, some that it wasn't very accommodating or very easy for them to get it done. These two names kept coming up as people recommending them. So those are the two that we have available today for your consideration. We need two, and then the two of these, and then both of them are been told that, and they're both within their letters of engagement, that we would be looking to have these back within 30 days. That would keep us on our time scale for going back to the council. So I would be recommending approval of both Vail and Wazack.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the appraisal contracts, services, agreements for David Wazack Appraisals and Mike Vail, Vail Appraisal Group. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we'll get those going. Next on the list is we have an approval letter for a letter of engagement for bond counsel, and
then also in the same vein, to keep us on track with the council presentation, we have a letter of engagement proposed from the attorneys James Shanahan. This letter of engagement would cover not only the potential bond request that the commissioners made before the council, but this would also be counsel for a potential bond request out of stormwater.
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve bond counsel by Taft, James D. Shanahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're going to take a 3-minute break right now here for various reasons, and we'll re-adjourn here in 3 minutes. And the clock starts. See, I came through. Yeah, well, are my eyes yellow?
No. Hey, software,
Yeah, he didn't get enough. I was just concerned with to make sure that there's no way of getting around it. I mean, why put in a system that isn't going to be met? Okay. And what company was that? That was D something?
The Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff. Okay. And this will be $40,000 rental lending and then $3,000 a month ongoing maintenance around the system. Right. And it's software is what you're buying, right?
Right. It's software that interfaces with our LAW system, which the new software program.
The new one, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, so this will tie into the new.
Oh, yeah, it's all Windows. It's all, this is all going to be firing together.
And that allows the payroll to.
That's the state accredited system that we chose to go with, and pretty much used predominantly in those counties out there. It's going really well. The reports are just fine.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Instead of having to run a report, that's what
Okay, yeah. So right now, there's like nothing as far as the checking and out. I mean, each department is doing different on how they check in and check out.
So what we're trying to do is, we're trying to confine it a little bit. But, you have the whole technology and the software part, but then you got the whole manual part.
Right, so that's going to have to follow.
Yeah, so we're sort of building the bridge right now, and then we'll have to come back and write the book.
Okay.
So, that makes sense?
Right. And you said you guys approved B or whatever, but it's basically just that. It's
Yeah.
$40,000 from the council, $3,000 ongoing commitment.
Yep.
Monthly.
Yep.
Okay. And the time card, or the clock thing was just by department if you needed.
What we're going to do is some departments we might need to have a workstation, that's like a central workstation, but we're also saying that they have these smaller iPads and other things that you can put in, they're a little cheaper rather than going out and putting it in. And then they just come and see at our hotels, we have iPads, they just come in the back and boom.
Yeah, we just do it on our computer.
Yeah.
At our place. So is this, in the past, they talked about not being able to force department heads to do, not put this, do they want to require that department heads to apply this?
I don't use terms of our correct. Department heads we can force, elected officials we can't. They're all
It's
our...
the same thing, though, right?
No, it's not the same thing.
Well, I think he's the department head and elected official, right?
Yeah, but so I can't tell her when she works, but I can tell...
Not how her, but her staff.
I can set the parameters.
Okay.
And set the parameters for how she sets her department up. We can say everyone's working 6 hours or 8 hours a day.
Set the rules for the staff.
Yes.
And then-
Correct.
I think we have rules that are set in place now. What this is going to do is monitor and give us that audit trail to manage it. You know,
2 minutes, 56 seconds.
and you were right on time. She was over here going, wait, I knew what that meant, too. I knew what that meant.
All right, and this will take effect from?
We have to go to council, and then I think what Edie's trying to do is hurry it up, because their system goes to plunk, I think, in November, right? Or October.
It's arguable that it's already.
Yeah.
So you're all up by the end of the year.
Yeah, so we're playing catch-up. I mean, this is something that we've talked about for a while, but because of their situation, we're moving it up a little bit.
Anything else major come up on the agenda? It's a long.
No, we're about
Okay, no, I'm serious.
we don't,
Reporter-wise, I mean, so I'm like, anything else?
It's gonna be,
I'm not sticking around for it.
yeah, it should be pretty quick. We should blow through this now, so. Wow. Well, you know, when you. But I like it. It seems more purposeful. And it's actually saving us all the time in our world.
Right.
Thanks, Bob. Oh, yeah,
You're still gonna get the original, you have careers.
that's, I mean, you, well, then I came back, and such a that I said,
I know.
yeah, no, I could, I am not. Hell, I'm not taking the action you are. Yeah. Oh, I love saving some money on interest.
Our salary is doubling, which is pretty good. But there are ways that I can call up S&P and do an independent analysis of our credit standing, and they could conceivably increase our credit rating savings money to.
I want you to call this Jim Shanahan and talk to him.
Yeah.
And then do anything that can save us money or get us a better rating, we're in.
I would love to.
Yes. Okay.
That was just Jim's whistle to get him back over.
Okay, I agree. Yeah, whatever will help.
I don't know. It depends on how much.
Could be a big one.
Sure, save it as a loan, their bond interest, but their bond
I don't know why they need a bond if they knew what I paid for my water permit down there and build my hotel. Oh, gee. It's $400,000 in fees, just for one hotel. All right, we're going to reconvene here so we can keep moving. We're just about to the end here.
I'm getting hungry.
Yep. We know we're getting to the end because Commissioner Biggs is getting hungry. Uh-oh. I know we're getting to the end now. He's hungry. And angry. Not hungry, but angry. He's angry.
He's angry.
That'll happen in 30 minutes.
Next on the agenda, we have Memorial Opera House, Scott McDonald, Voice Systems License Renewal and Maintenance Fee Agreement. What is this for? Hi, Scott.
Hello, good morning. This is for Key Ledger that we use for finance. and it's an $842 maintenance agreement.
And that's required by the state.
Correct.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the Voice Systems license renewal and maintenance fee agreement for the Memorial Opera House. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Scott.
Was that your show that just opened this past week?
Yes, two sold-out houses, completely sold out, and we have, I think, 15% of tickets left to sell. We have less than 100 tickets for the entirety of this weekend, and very few for the following weekend when we close. We're very, very excited. Also, season tickets are coming in at an alarmingly fast rate. At this time last year, we had only sold maybe about 30 renewals. We've sold 80 renewals so far.
Wow.
So we're really, really excited over there. There's really good things happening.
Well, you guys are doing a great job over
Thank
there,
you.
Scott.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, thanks.
Next on the agenda for Prosecutor Brian Gensel, we have an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of fees for discovery production for the Porter County Prosecutor's Office. This is the second reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for an ordinance creating a non-reverting fund for receipt of fees for discovery production for the Porter County Prosecutor's Office. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Sheriff's Department, come on up again. Sorry I bumped you to the back, but,
Not all the way to the back.
yeah, no, you're a little bit further up.
Yeah, we don't hide, but,
They don't have anything else to do, right?
Hey, I didn't say that. It was, you know. CMB Managed Services, Amendment Number 2, Food Service Contract.
yeah, you know that our contract is,
Indexed.
got a price indexed, so it's 3%. It's very hard to calculate, because it's really hard to figure it out, but I think I'll be okay next year, but.
Sort of like prescription drugs, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. So, between the population and, so we'll see. I'm not going to come asking for any more next year until later, until I see.
How is this working out better?
This company?
This is the new group, right?
Yeah, and their contract will be up at the end of 2018 also, along with this second one, so I think they've been good.
They've been working out pretty good.
I think the inmates think they don't add enough salt, but
Yeah.
they don't complain too much about
Just trying to keep them healthy.
Yeah. So this is effective January 1st.
Okay.
So.
Open it up to the floor. Any questions, thoughts, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the CMB Managed Services contract, which is an amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the list is AutoClear.
This is the X-ray, they walk through, and at the Valpo branch, and this is just the normal annual contract, no changes on this
Motion to
one.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the AutoClear annual contract for maintenance on the X-ray screening systems at the courthouse. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for waiting. Before we go in the last couple other things here, oh no, I guess we got a whole other page, so I'm not going to say anything. Let's keep moving. Wildlife. Dr. Larry McAfee, please come forward. This is for a request for approval of the Michiana rental invoice in the amount of $4,187 to provide tent, chairs, and tables for the wildlife event at Sunset Hill Farms. Good morning.
Good morning. I need to compliment you for your being last on the agenda today. You do a nice job. You get it done. Well done, Commissioners. Well done.
You're not last.
There's a whole other page.
Well, we can put you if you want, Larry. We can move you down.
The Wildlife Board, Porter County Wildlife Management Advisory Board was formed years ago. And I think I want to compliment Commissioner Biggs because he was pretty instrumental in the formation of the board. And I think we've done a lot of good for the wildlife in Porter County, and we really compliment and thank the commissioners for the support that you've given us. We also have a Moraine Ridge Wildlife Rehabilitation Center now, and Stephanie Kadlitz is our director, and she's here today. And just to speak personally, you can't believe how much this wildlife center helps the veterinarians in Porter County, because raccoon pups and skunks and everything else used to be dropped off at our clinics. Now we have a really top-rate rehabilitation center. I think, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's one of the best centers we have in the state of Indiana. Thank you, Stephanie. So we're here specifically today for Sunset Hill Farm.
We need to approve
for our
it.
Celebration of Wildlife event, which is going to be October 7th. And along with that, I think that I'm sitting here for the board president, Bob Gregg, today, so I'm speaking in his capacity. At the Zona property, there's been a gate that was torn down or some such thing, so.
Yes, Larry, Commissioners, I talked to Mr. Gregg, and I went out to the property and looked at it. Somebody had backed up on the pole that the gate attaches to. Is probably a relatively inexpensive fix, but it has to be fixed or they can't close the gate.
Yeah. Could we have Highway go out and do that, Andy? Could you go take a look at it for us?
Yeah,
Instead of having someone pay for it.
Two big gates that close.
Yeah, the gate actually, it's actually one gate, and the gate comes in and meets a stationary pole. Somebody backed up and hit that pole and bent it over. So it's probably in concrete. If it's just pulled back, reset it.
Could you please, and report back to Commissioner Biggs on it, and we'll see if we can just fix it with our own infrastructure and get it out there and get it fixed for them.
Yeah, and Dr. McAfee, there was some talk, about, I guess in the recent past, or fairly recent past, the commissioners would just hand over $25,000 a year.
Yep.
The other commissioners can speak for themselves. My personal, I would rather not get back into that. But at the same time, when something, if we could make it clear that when something breaks like this, to bring it to our attention, we'll brainstorm the best way to approach it. If it means, appropriating some money toward it to get it fixed, we'll consider that. But if it's something we can do internally, like using the highway department without hiring somebody to do it, we'll do that as well. So,
I think the board would be very agreeable to that.
Yeah, we're receptive. I mean, we just want to know what's going on. And we also, the other thing we're doing up here too, that I don't want to say hasn't been done in the past, but we're revisiting a lot more, is we have a lot of pretty large departments here, and everybody was always sort of just doing their own thing with their head down, and now we all got our head up, and we're all looking around, seeing how we can help each other out a little bit more. And I think this is part of that coming together as a county to use all of our resources to help other entities that are part of our government or quasi-part of our government or whatever. So we're doing, that was why the first thing I looked at Andy and I said, could we do that? And so that's what, it doesn't, it does cost us, but it doesn't cost us. We don't have to go out and get a contract, we don't have to go pay somebody. It's something that we can do with our own people.
and you, just here recently, the highway department placed a sign out on 600 North, advertising the rehabilitation center. I called up there, I think it was on a Monday, and by Monday afternoon, or Tuesday morning, I had to call the signs in. So, thanks, Andy, appreciate that.
Yes, thank you.
But, that's kind of, let's communicate, and the more we communicate, the more that we'll be able to get done and get done smartly, so.
Just one more quick comment. On October 7th is the Celebration of Wildlife, where we're requesting the funds. By the way, it's not the Celebration of Wildlife, it's the Celebration of Wildlife plus Porter County Pet Adoption Day.
Oh,
We got
okay.
Tony here.
Tony was up here.
Please show up, it's a great event.
And that's my understanding talking to Walter Linkos, that is one of the best attended fests.
Not to toot our horn, but it is the largest event in Porter County.
Oh, wow.
October 7th. Bring your kids, bring your pets,
Great for kids.
kid-friendly.
Well, I'd also just suggest that if you're looking for a good way to kill an hour or two on the weekend, especially if you have children, is go visit that Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. It's fascinating what they're doing out there.
Briefly, make it brief, tell us a few of the animals that you have out there right now.
So right now, we have 2 endangered trumpeter swans, and then we also just had a blanding sparrow, which is endangered as well. We have 8 red-tailed hawks in rehab. So far this year, we've rehabbed over 1,100 animals.
Wow.
We still have quite a few months to go, so around over 1,400 animals a year come into our center. A majority of those come from Porter County alone, so.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
Thank you. Did we need to vote on this?
Yes.
So we have it on the floor for a request for approval for $4,187 to provide tent, chairs, and tables for the wildlife event at Sunset Hill.
Did somebody make a motion?
I don't
No,
think, no.
nobody made a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of an invoice from Michiana Rentals. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim, did you have something about this maintenance discussion that you wanted? Is that?
We had it.
Oh, that was it?
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Lori Daly, the Expo Center.
Hi.
Exponential. So you have a Times advertising agreement for digital ads. What's this all about?
We had met with them a couple months ago. We were doing a print ad, and we started talking about getting into a little bit more of the digital aspect, and the price was right, and we want to give it a go for the rest of the year.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve an advertising agreement with the Times for digital ads for the Expo Center. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Is that the kind of thing you can use your tourism money for?
Yes, exactly.
Number 2 is a request for transfer of funds. Fund, 4,005 from account 3420 building liability in the amount of $3,500 to account 2350 building maintenance due to lower premiums.
Last year.
Last year.
This year, sorry, yeah, this year.
Lower premium.
Lower premium.
We love
The tune of
that word.
3,500, yeah.
Those
It's pretty exciting.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a request for a transfer of funds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign, motion carries. And we have another request for a transfer of funds from account 4005, no, wait a minute. A request for transfer of funds, Fund 4005, how am I doing, Vicki? From account 3460 liquor liability in the amount of $500 to account 2110 office supplies due to lower premiums.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a transfer of funds fund. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Are you ready for the fair?
We are. We're pretty excited. 2 days away. We had a couple projects come up this morning.
Buildings, facilities out there?
No, this is not something they can do, but they have been out there quite a bit helping us. When you were talking about the departments helping departments between facilities and Andy's department, they have been giving us tremendous help over the last month. So we are
What
ready.
we like to hear.
We are ready to go.
Working together.
We're looking for about 150,000 people to come through the grounds over the next 2 weeks.
Oh.
So.
How many?
150,000 is the best guess. The foot traffic's going to be a lot more, we feel, this year, mainly because Toby Keith, the fair's been doing.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cost me like $300.
Enjoy it.
They've extended parking over into Aldi. It's going to be a big night Friday night.
The weather looks like it's gonna be pretty good too, huh? No?
I saw a storm.
No, it's a little iffy right
Yeah,
now, so.
it's iffy the next 4 days, I think.
Well, that'll change.
We go through that every year, or every other year.
Well, it's a great time of year.
It is.
For Porter County residents, because we have one of the best fairs around.
I agree.
So
One of the
we're very
cleanest,
lucky.
One of the best. These
We're
guys
very
are
lucky.
dedicated.
All right, thank you, Lori, I'll see you out there.
Okay.
You owe me cotton candy. Well, I gotta work it off. Animal shelter, Tony, come on down, Civics Plus, sub-site agreement for website. First of all, while Tony's getting situated, this issue of Valparaiso Magazine, the Porter County Animal Shelter was named by the Chamber for a Community Improvement Award. So congratulations to you, to us, to everyone. That's a good deal, good stuff. Go ahead, Tony.
Great.
Take it away.
We're going to kind of turn this one over to Kirk here.
Okay.
Tony, and we've been talking about this for well over a year, but now that the shelter has a brand-new physical home, we also think it's time for them to have a brand-new digital home. And so, like we've done with the Expo Center and currently working on with the Opera House, we're proposing to do another sub-site with Civics Plus on their new platform that is going to greatly enhance the shelter's presence on the Internet. The fees in this are the $8,000 startup. Tony will be building into a budget the $1,500 plus some change annual fee after that. The nice thing is, the county's not going to spend a penny of taxpayer dollars on the startup. There's about $10,000, a little over $10,000 sitting at the Community Foundation that's been there for years, from the Hounds Around Town event that they had several years ago. We're working with Laura and Tony and the foundation in the process of getting a check cut, deposited in the shelter's donation fund, and then Tony will go to the council next month and ask them to appropriate it.
Okay.
So bottom line is, it's a freebie as far as tax money is concerned.
Well, I think a new website is going to be very powerful for that place, so.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to kind of go with the whole new everything,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So-
yep.
Well, we have, like, if I want to register to be a volunteer, I can get on there and register?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. This has a lot of functionality that, currently, we're housed on the porterco.org website, which is the old Civics Plus platform. And this has a lot more functionality, and it's a lot easier for people to use. Plus, the mobile view, which about 70% of people actually use, it's much easier to navigate on the mobile view than the county's website.
I agree.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion for a Civics Plus agreement, for sub-site agreement for website for the animal
Close to
shelter.
that half an hour.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
But Commissioner Biggs, if you want to volunteer, all you have to do is call.
Well, I was going to say, you could sign them up right here. Careful what you wish for. Quotes, go ahead, no, we have quotes for surgical and exam room equipment.
We do. Yes.
And?
Darren. We have 3 quotes. Shoreline at $15,809.50. Apex at $15,654, and DRE at $16,385. We are going to recommend the Shoreline quote. It's a little above the other one, but we've done business with Shoreline. We trust their products. We know them better. They work with us very well. So we would like to recommend the Shoreline quote. And if you have questions.
What was our allowance in our budget for that category? Do you remember?
It was about $40,000.
Oh, so this comes in, yeah. Because I know we're getting down to the final settling out of the shelter, and I know we added a small piece of fence and a
Why
couple
we're here.
other. Yeah,
Get it in
so I
before
just wanted to
we-
make sure that we're still under budget.
We are under budget on
We
this,
like to
yeah.
say that.
So what were those prices again?
It was,
$15,809.50 for Shoreline, Apex is $15,654, and DRE is $16,385.
And they're all apples to apples?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Wait.
Oh, hang on. I don't see a total on the shoreline quote.
Yeah, I had to add it up. I'm not
Oh, did
sure
you?
why I
Okay.
didn't total it, but I added it up.
Well, I know you guys are recommending shoreline, but we really need to go with low bid.
If we're apples to apples, that's why it's,
Are we apples to apples?
We are apples to apples.
Well, then why would we recommend a higher bid?
Well, she said, they've worked with them before.
We have a lot of their products.
Yep.
We have not done business with Apex before, and that's why we're recommending Shoreline.
Right. So it's more of a business.
Familiar.
We got to go a little bit. Who was low?
Apex,
Apex.
and it's $200, so.
Welcome to the government.
A lot of dog biscuits for $200.
Open up the floor to the board.
Motion to approve Apex.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Apex for the surgical and exam room equipment. I'm looking very forward to getting that room finished out. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
And you want to do your thing now?
Oh, yeah, and I just wanted to point out, you had a busy weekend. These things always seem to have to happen on weekends. For those of you who don't know, they took in over 100 animals from a pet store where charges are pending, neglect charges. We had 40 reptiles, 14 birds, 20 rodents, 6 aquariums of fish, 24 mammals. There were dogs, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, gerbils, and various other small domestic animals. I even heard sugar gliders.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a handful, and you all handled it extremely well. I think most of the animals are already with various rescue groups and accounted for.
They are.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
great job.
Thank you, Animal Shelter. Next, Development Stormwater Management, Bob Thompson. We're getting there. We're getting there. Hi, Bob.
Hello. Tower Meadows.
Tower Meadows subdivision.
So Attorney Ferngren and I have had the opportunity, as the direction from the commissioners at the last meeting, to discuss and talk about the letter of credit that is out there. And he had an opportunity to talk to his clients, the actual Bud Plus, the owners of the lots. We are in a position now that I would recommend no building moratorium. His clients seem to be in a position to be able to renew the letter of credit a little bit closer to the end of the year and deal with any of the issues as far as if we need to look at any small additional costs to the bond or the letter of credit to take care of any paving costs. I do know that when we looked at early on this, we did some estimates on the currently at Tower Meadows, what it would cost. We were very, very close to being spot on with our current bond. So given that, my recommendation at this point would be for no moratorium and to put this back on our agenda, say in October, November, to come back and then we can extend out or renew the letter of credit. It's going to be at least 2 years, I would think, after this year before all those lots are built out. There seems that number, it's at least the rest of this year and 1 more year, if not the rest of this year and 2 more years. So.
Yeah, probably. So we're hoping, subject to what happens here today, perhaps close as early as next 26th. That's Wednesday or Thursday, so they can build it and get the ground running.
And obviously, the closing kind of got delayed a little bit on us because there wasn't going to be a closing if there was going to be a moratorium.
Right.
So we don't need a moratorium. The owners are have plenty of financial wherewithal to go ahead and get the letter of credit renewed and extend it out the time we need. So at this point, I think all the ducks are in a row. We need to get out of the way and let that subdivision try to finally build out, which eventually would be the true solve of the problem out there.
So what do we got to do to unwind this?
Nothing. Just Nothing at this point.
We don't have to approve the lifting of the
We
moratorium?
never put it on.
Yeah, it was just continued.
So I would just make a note for Kathy to remind us in October, November, to put it back on our agenda in one of those months and and then that way Bill will be working with his clients to get the letter of credit renewed, or for whatever financial vehicle they want to utilize to get that done. Yep. Yep. No problem.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep, have a great day.
She has to go accept that award, Tony.
Okay.
I know you wanted her to leave, but.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
She'll fire yours.
All right, whatever. Sure.
Just so you know, the houses will be sitting as they are. The lots, nothing being done in our roads, still.
No.
We have no word until October, November?
No. That's not what just happened. What just happened was that's okay. What just happened was that we got out of the way to allow the current owners of the lots to sell those lots to a home builder.
Right.
We need the home builder to, once that transaction takes place, the new home builder will own the lots.
Right.
We will then enforce our lot maintenance on the new owner. Stormwater is already taking care of stormwater issues and have been directed to go out and take care of those issues as this progresses. And then what's left at that point is the road. And the road, it needs to top coat, and we've talked about the alligator cracking that we have. But ultimately, that's what's coming back in October or November is just the security that at the end of the day, whenever that subdivision is actually built out, we have the funds to be able to put the top coat on the current road and to fix any alligator cracking. But in all reality, this should take care of two of the three major concerns out there now, which is lot maintenance and then any stormwater issues we have. So that's what actually happened today.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to move now to rezone A1, General Agricultural to RR, Rural Residential District. Petitioner is Benjamin David Cooper. And come on forward.
This is Planning Commission Resolution 17-04. The petitioner is Benjamin David Cooper, requesting a zoning amendment for a parcel of land that is zoned A1 to RR Rural Residential. This case was heard twice before the Planning Commission. They continued it at their May 24th meeting and then had another meeting at their June 28th, which they forwarded a favorable recommendation by an 8-0 vote. The intent of the rezoning is to do a two-lot subdivision.
There were initially some neighbor concerns, but they've been worked out.
Oh.
And we were all comfortable at the second time that we heard it, that it was unanimously in favor.
I'm sorry?
This is first reading?
This is first reading. This is a public hearing, yeah.
Oh, so I got to close her down and do the deal again?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to suspend the commissioners' meeting, open it up to a public meeting. We would like at this time to first call to have anybody come forward who is for this rezoning. Second opportunity for anybody to come up and speak on behalf in favor of this ordinance, or rezone. Yes, this is in favor. Come on forward. Go by that microphone and state your name and your address.
I'm Andrew Cooper. My address is 10398 Player Street, Crown Point, Indiana. It's my brother, Benjamin Cooper. We're rezoning to divide the property to build houses for our families. We bought it together, the property now, and that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Looking to build a house here next month. Yep.
No.
Yeah, not living together.
No, we're not.
We each have families, both, I have twins that are 4 months old and a 4-year-old. He has a 3-year-old, a 10-month-old, and one in the oven. Okay. So, looking to build a couple houses.
Quick, too. She's already getting antsy. We've got to move out of
So yours-
our house in 15 days.
And we have third and final call for anybody wishing to come forward speaking in favor of this rezone. We'll now move to anybody wishing to come forward, first call to speak in opposition of this rezone. Second opportunity for anybody to come in and speak in opposition to this rezone. Third and final request, anybody to come forward and speak in opposition of this rezone. I will close the public meeting now, open it up to the floor, to the board, for any comments, questions.
Motion to approve. I think you've been through enough.
We have a motion.
You've been through enough.
We have a motion and a second to approve the rezoning, first reading, on A1 General Agricultural to RR Rural Residential District, petitioner Benjamin David Cooper. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Come back on August 15th for the second reading, and you'll be free to go after that.
Is this something we could suspend the rules with?
Can't,
No.
yeah,
Not a
if we
rezone.
could, we'd suspend the rules, but we can't. Not in this situation. So, August 15th. Thank you.
Thank you.
You feel better?
Supplement number 2 to the bridge inspection program. Bob?
This is an agreement for doing inspection on 20 bridges. INDOT, I believe it was in 2014, sent out a memo that basically said that any bridge that we have within our inventory that has a sufficiency rating lower than 60% and out of 4 criterion that they look at during the inspection have a rating of 4 or less, that we must inspect these bridges on a yearly basis, not not once every 2 years like what the Federal Highway Program is. So we have 20 bridges that we must inspect on an annual basis. So this agreement here is a supplement to the existing agreement we have with Being Longest and that from the 2014-2016 program.
Any questions of Bob?
Look forward to that day that we don't have any bridges like this.
We're going to have hopefully 5 of these off the list here with, hopefully in a year and a half.
Any other questions, Bob?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve supplement number 2 to the bridge inspection program. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Bridge 126 agreement with USI Consultants.
This is one of the bridges we hope to have off of that list.
Yeah.
Motion to
Yeah.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve Bridge 126 agreement with USI Consultants. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And we have a request for additional appropriations from Fund 4906 in the amount of $213,526.39. Account 4320, Roads and Taxiways, for the federal reimbursement for the 100 South project.
This is INDOT reimbursements from the 80/20 program where we paid out the full amount and then now they're reimbursing us the 80%. It's not just 100 South, it's also 100 South and Smoke and Division project.
It's all of it.
Yeah, it's all of the accumulation, so now what we have to do is go back in front of the council to ask them to reappropriate this money back into the line item.
And is that on the agenda Tuesday for them?
Yes.
So, okay. Any other questions? We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a request for additional appropriations from Fund 4906 in the amount of $213,526.39 to account 4320, Roads and Taxiways, for the federal reimbursement for 100 South project. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Bob. You got, what? Yeah.
I'll ask.
Go ahead.
Bridge 126, now that we have the agreement, can I give them a notice to proceed? Or do you want to wait for a little bit? Funding.
We don't have the funding yet.
So wait until we get the funding.
Gotta wait.
Gotta wait.
All right.
Sorry.
Hey, no problem.
We're working on it.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Valparaiso Community Festivals and Events. This is a request for approval to use the courthouse grounds beginning Wednesday, September 6th through Saturday, September 9th for the 39th Annual Popcorn Fest. They would also like to know if the parking garage will be open the day of the festival and what the fee will be.
It was $10 last year, I think.
$10. Yeah.
Motion to approve the request and let them know it's $10 for the day.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the request for approval of the courthouse fairgrounds from September 6th through September 9th for the Popcorn Festival? $10 parking. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute.
That's when they can use it, but the parking fee will only be on
The
the
Saturday,
actual festival.
the festival day, yeah. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign, motion carries. Last, we have Morgan Township Volunteer Fire Department, Mike Losey. And this, again, is a request for the Morgan Township Volunteer Fire Department to use county roads to detour traffic from State Road 49 between County Road 300 South and 400 South for the 19th Annual Malden Labor Day Parade to be held Monday, September 4th, Labor Day, 2017 at noon. The Porter County Sheriff's Department will be handling traffic control and detours, and there'll be refreshments over at Vicki Urbanic's house. Oh, I'm sorry, I knew you lived close to there, I'm sorry.
No, feel free to come.
I'll make a motion to approve, that's just the best
Second.
parade ever.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose same sign, motion carries. And I think we're at the end of our agenda. We would like to open up the floor to anybody else who would like to address this board. Please come forward, state your name, your address, and we'll take it from there. You can sit right here, sir.
Thank you.
My name is Larry Silvestri, and I live at 314 Kenwood Place in Michigan City, Indiana. I'm Mayor Ron Mears' appointment to the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission and to the Park Board. I am here to make a request to be on your next agenda. The purpose is for a resolution. I gave you a packet. Here's a newspaper story from October of 2010 of a resolution that this commission passed. And the next stapled item is the resolution. And since that time, there's been some advances in, research. And also, I would like to amend this resolution to include the AMA statement, report. But in addition to that, the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore is now being nominated to be a international dark sky park. And this resolution, if you even just reaffirm it and include a letter of support for the Indiana Dunes National Dark Sky Park designation for the National Lakeshore, that would be helpful in getting that designation. But I could work with you as to the address of the letter and also the wording of the amendment if you choose to amend this resolution.
Well, I think what we'd like to do at this point is, since we just saw this today, and I know I wasn't here when this was done last time, neither was Laura and neither was Jim. I think what I'd like to do at this point is, before we put it on the agenda, I'd like to have our attorney look over the ordinance. If you could give him your name and contact information, then if there's anything, we'll have him look it over, and then we can address it at that point. Is that fair?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. The superintendent of the National Lakeshore is on board with this, and Don Babcock, the Economic Development of NIPSCO, just sent a letter to Mayor Ron Mears, encouraged him to send a letter of support to the International Dark Sky Association.
Okay. Well, good to know. I didn't know you existed till today. So we'll learn out a little bit more about this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think, I got your email. It's in the packet. What's your, yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Gmail.com.
All right, what's your phone number?
630-618-7843.
All right, I got it.
Do we have any other folks willing to come before and address this board? At this time, this board is in recess. Thank you. Got her done. My battery's running low.